The National Disaster Consciousness Month is formally launched today as the nation observes disaster preparedness in July. Ironically, many workers are now in danger of losing their jobs at the Office of Civil Defense and the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council, or NDRRMC. David Santos gives us the full report live from Camp Aguinaldo. Go ahead, David.
Well, around 200 contractual employees of the Office of Civil Defense are on the verge of losing their jobs, now largely being blamed on government's decision to cut down the agency's operational spending. Well, this comes at a time when OCD is trying to intensify efforts to increase public awareness on disaster response, especially amid a series of natural and man-made disasters that struck the country last year. Well, OCD Administrator Alex Pama admits his hands are tied between insisting to keep his personnel for humanitarian reasons or complying with civil service regulations. It remains unclear how much of the OCD's funding has been slashed and for what reasons. But one thing is for sure, though, the budget cut will take a direct impact on the casual workers. Well, these employees include utility personnel as well as those who do clerical and office work. Of the 200, close to half of them are assigned at the OCD Central Office in the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council Operations Center. Well, Pama says if it happens, the retrenchment could affect their operations, especially when the agency is aggressively pushing for a multi-pronged approach in dealing with future disasters. Incidentally, the government formally kicked off today the observation of a National Disaster Consciousness Month with messages focused on how the country should be better prepared for the so-called new normal. Well, the new normal, of course, refers to the new levels of intensity of disaster that the country went through in the last quarter of 2013, from the Zamboanga City siege, the magnitude 7.2 tremor in Bohol and Cebu, and the super typhoon Yolanda that swept throughout eastern Visayas. A series of disaster preparedness and response exercises have been lined up for July, including a Metro Manila-wide earthquake drill set for next week. Local government units nationwide will be asked to do pre-disaster risk assessments as a scientific method that should make communities imagine the impact of a specific calamity and how they can be better prepared for it. Defense Secretary Voltaire Gasmin adds that 2013 was a tough year for disaster response and that both the government and the public should have learned lessons by now to correct systematic mistakes, to avoid loss of lives and massive destruction to properties.
Thanks, David. David Santos there reporting to us from Camp Aguinaldo.